Have you guys seen this video? I love this video. Okay, we're about to have the time of our lives. This video is my Roman Empire. Okay, this video is actually my Roman Empire. The Rainforest Cafe one is crazy. One day, okay, maybe the next stream we'll watch the Rainforest Cafe one.
So, you clicked on the video thinking, is this guy really gonna go to every Margaritaville in the country? Well, technically, that title is a lie. Because I'm going to
You
every
can't lie to me,
Margaritaville in
Eddie.
the country and Canada. Margaritaville, a tropical beach-themed restaurant chain
Thank
created by
you.
America's greatest singer-songwriter,
Thank you.
James William Buffett, aka Jimmy Buffett. Now, if you don't know who Jimmy Buffett is, let me catch you up before we hit the road.
Hi, I'm Jimmy.
Jimmy Buffett is a multi-platinum artist who's been touring the world since the 1980s. But think of Jimmy less as a musician and more
Rest in
like
peace.
royalty. Because this man has built an empire in the last few decades by not just writing tropical country-style songs, but by creating a world around his
What a
music.
wild man.
And no song has built that empire more than Margaritaville. Margaritaville is a simple
I've
tune
actually never
created by
been to a
Jimmy in the late
Margaritaville
70s that
before,
then inspired
but
the
this
creation
when I watched
of
this
his
video for the
restaurant,
first time, it
Jimmy
made me want to
Buffett's
go to a
Margaritaville.
Margaritaville.
As the business started to thrive, they made Margaritaville shirts, shot glasses, keychains, and other merch until they expanded to Margaritaville hotels and resorts across the globe. But the restaurant that started it all is the official Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville. There are 22 locations in the United States and Canada, with one in development in Boston, Massachusetts. And we will be hitting every single one. Last year, Ted Nivison and I went to every single Rainforest Cafe in the country. There were
Honestly,
18
can I
total
just
locations,
say,
and it
Ted
took us
is
3
kind of
weeks to do it.
fine.
The trip also
Ted,
nearly
please.
drove me insane.
Give me a chance. Good night.
So you
Good
must be
night.
thinking, what kind of moron would go on such a pointless road trip, not enjoy it, and then decide just 1 year later to do another, even longer, pointless road trip? The night before we started our trip across the entire United States,
Can I just say how much I love AM/PM as a gas station? Ignore my catfish. AM/PM kind of slapped. The burgers at AM/PM, good. The nachos, pretty good. Now we know Poseidon's type. Take notes. Oh no. Am I exposing myself?
United States for 24 days, we decided to go to the first Margaritaville. Now, the closest one located to us
I don't
was
know
at
what
City
I've
Walk
never been
at
to
Universal
Wawa.
Studios Hollywood. City Walk is just an outdoor mall in front of the theme park, but you might recognize it from Justin Bieber's famous music video, Baby. And I can't tell you what kind of honor it was to start this journey where Ludacris himself told us
Oh,
that when he was
no.
13, he had his first love. As we headed toward the restaurant, I was getting increasingly nervous because this trip is even longer. So I was about to find out what I was dedicating a 12th of my year to. After finally arriving, we were greeted almost immediately by the Margaritaville
Oh
sign.
no. This is where it all starts, chat.
And I could not have guessed what was inside. Jimmy Buffett's likeness plastered across the entire restaurant. Jimmy's music was playing on the speakers. There was Jimmy-themed food, Jimmy drinks. There was a giant Jimmy Buffett's margarita blender. There were even screens playing Jimmy video at the table. It began to dawn on me that this restaurant wasn't named after just one song, Margaritaville, that Jimmy Buffett made. This entire restaurant was a cult dedicated to everything Jimmy Buffett. They even had
Oh,
my
no.
favorite Jimmy Buffett quote on the wall. Pour me something tall and strong. This door is to remain unlocked during business hours. As we were seated, we were given the absolute honor of sitting at the boat table.
Boat.
Now, the boat table was interesting because it's a table that looks like a boat. But finally, it was time for the moment of
The
truth.
little TV is
the
killing
menu.
me.
I was about to find out what 22 meals of the next 24 days of my life would look like.
Why
And
is
to my
everything so
surprise,
expensive?
It actually wasn't that bad. On our last
Yes,
trip,
we
I
are
was
watching
shocked
the
to
video where
find
he goes
things
to all the
like
Margaritavilles.
Mojo Bones, Boom Boom Sauce, Iggy's Piggy Sandwich, and more. But this menu looked Pretty normal, other than the fact that the names of the items were themed to Jimmy Buffett songs that I didn't know. For my drink, I ordered the perfect margarita, and as somebody who loves margaritas, I feel like that name is a little too confident, and after tasting it, I was correct. Perfect margarita? Jimmy, I might want to call this the Just Okay margarita. Now that's a Buffett burn. The group got some onion rings as an appetizer, and as we waited for our entrees, we were just having a good time. I did notice that there was a stage in this restaurant. It looks like it's fully prepared for live music, but it was completely empty for us, so I'm kind of wondering what that's all about. For my entree, I decided to start my Margaritaville marathon with a cheeseburger in paradise, which I believe is Jimmy's second biggest song. The burger was exactly what you'd expect out of a chain restaurant. I also need to stress that we are not being paid by Margaritaville on this trip, so as this journey progresses, I will be criticizing Margaritaville the whole way. But Jimmy, if you're watching this, I do take bribes. So our first dinner experience was exactly what you'd expect out of a chain restaurant. The food and drinks were just okay, but it was a dinner with a bunch of friends where we were just having drinks and hanging out.
I had date at Margaritaville, but Jimmy Buffett has to be there. I'll find a way to get him there.
A blast. But that fun was cut short because it was time to say goodbye. Ted and I officially sealed our fate with a handshake because tomorrow we begin one of the most pointless journeys of our entire lives. So I woke up this morning with a stomach ache. I think it was almost definitely the Margaritaville food because I had nothing but a breakfast sandwich that morning and then the cheeseburger in paradise and 2 perfect margaritas. Completing this Margaritaville trip will mean that I've done 2 tours.
Good night.
And I've already experienced my first casualty. My tummy. My tummy hurts. I have a
tummy ache survivor.
I really hope my tummy doesn't hurt most days of the trip.
Yeah, that's final last words.
You guys don't know how hard it is to be a YouTuber. So the plan for the first day was to drive from LA to Phoenix because the next Margaritaville on our trip was the one in San Antonio, Texas. Now last year we took Ted's 2002 Toyota Tacoma across the country and Ted is over there with the Tacoma as it gets loaded onto a tow truck. So this year, to avoid ruining Ted's car for good, we decided to rent a newer Tacoma. And I'll be honest, Ted was in denial quite a bit. It's not squeaking. It's fine.
I feel like I'm hearing a squeak right now. This is too clean.
The tires are fine.
I have ears like a dog, so maybe it might be dog whistle.
I think it might be tinnitus.
So for the second and final time, we hit the road again. Over 9,000 miles, 22 restaurants, and 24 days on the road.
Good night, Comet.
24 days of my life for Margaritaville.
Let's go!
One thing Ted and I immediately realized while driving was that we did not get a truck cover for the rental. And you can't just have your stuff out in the open for rain or for somebody to steal. We decided to go with camo so people wouldn't see our valuables in the truck bed. They would assume there was just a nice little forest back there. Finally, it was time for bed. We had completed the first day of our new journey, but not before we experienced the smoothest and quietest elevator ride of my entire life.
Jesus.
Day 2, the plan for the day is to drive from Phoenix to El Paso. I went for a quick run in the morning and then I hopped into my favorite elevator. Once again, we hit the open road, and I gotta say, as someone who's been pretty busy lately, it's been really nice to just drive and not think about it. Wait, what is that? What is the thing? Sorry, as I was saying, it's just good to get out there and hit the open road. Is that another The Thing sign? Okay, there are a lot of The Thing signs, and we need to stop for gas anyways, so I guess we'll pull off and see it. I would never be able to guess, though, what was in store for me behind those doors. In front of us was an entire museum dedicated to the what-if scenario of if aliens had come to Earth while dinosaurs
I don't know
were
what the
here.
thing is.
Now, I didn't know you could make an entire museum off of a hypothetical scenario, but apparently the aliens had come to teach the dinosaurs technology, and
Where is the Mythos
They were there to teach them technology until a war broke out between the aliens and the dinosaurs. The war got to a point where eventually the aliens had to click a big button and send a meteor hurtling towards Earth. And the exhibit didn't stop there. It told us about all the hypothetical secrets of our history. What if the aliens were a part of World War II? What if they drove around Winston Churchill in a car?
What if Poseidon
And
was
what
a big
if,
group of anime girl? I don't know.
What if
that would be
9/11?
pretty cool
Are
though.
we implying what I think that we're implying here?
What if
9/11.
Ted
My
did
hires
it?
is happening. What is happening?
Finally, it was time for the main event. The Thing. Ted and I
What is The
inched
Thing?
toward it, terrified of what this secret would hold and what it would mean to our lives. And I was shocked to find that it was just some paper mache fake skeleton thing. And not only that, the guy who said he found the thing's name was Binkley. Number one rule in life,
Binkley.
I'm not listening to anyone named Binkley. Day 3, and it is
What's
time
wrong
for
with
Margaritaville
Binkley?
number
Why does
2.
everybody
Ted and I
hate
spent most of our day
Binkley?
crossing about halfway through Texas until we finally arrived at the San Antonio Riverwalk. We actually came here last year, and I just like this spot a lot. It's a very beautiful place in the city. So we finally located our second Margaritaville and met up with our friend Schlatt, who would be joining us for this meal. Now, this being my second Margaritaville ever, I was
Oh,
actually
no.
surprised that it looked somewhat similar to the one in City Walk, but it also had like a Texas twist to all of the theming. Immediately when we sat down, I spotted this quote on the wall, and I had to know where it was from.
This
Turns
side of
out it's
Texas
from
is
one
all
of
new
Jimmy's
to me.
songs
Wait,
called
hold
Who's
on.
the
What did that
Blonde
say?
Stranger?
This side of Texas is all new to me. Who's the blonde stranger who lives by the sea? Is that like a lyric from a Jimmy Buffett song?
I had to know where it was from. Turns out it's from one of Jimmy's songs called Who's the Blonde
Oh.
Stranger, where the main character of the song vacations in Texas with his wife, then proceeds to cheat on her with a blonde stranger while she's getting over a sunburn, but when he wakes up hungover, he finds that she's also cheating on him with a different blonde stranger named
What?
Dan. Is this important to the overall
What is
trip? No. Is it important to me that you
Heading
knew
to bed.
this?
Good night, good
Yes.
night.
Anyways, I ordered the
Scott,
fish and
this
chips.
is a very-
Margaritaville has so much fried
What was
fish and
that
shrimp
song?
on the menu
That's
that I thought I
crazy.
should definitely try their fish and chips because it must be a flagship dish for them. As we waited for our
Fish and
food, I
chips taste
ordered a
good.
watermelon margarita that was way too sweet. I also mentioned a stage at the last Margaritaville where it looked like live music could be played. That was happening here, which was kind of nice to hear just somebody play live music in a chain restaurant. Finally, my fish and chips arrived, and these look like frozen fish.
That does not look like good fish and chips.
I have no idea.
I know.
They tasted okay, and we had a fun time just chatting and drinking over dinner. We seemed to be in the most Texas corner of the entire restaurant. It had the two things that Texas is famous for: cattle and a big old puddle next to your table. When you see a big old puddle, you know
Why is
you're
there
in
a big
Texas.
old- Oh,
After
wait, I think it
finishing
was
dinner,
me.
we decided to stroll around the even bigger puddle, the San Antonio River, but not before Ted gracefully
I
took
think-
a seat in this big Margaritaville chair. And honestly, after it was just a really nice time strolling around this area. I remember liking this last year, but for some reason I associate it with something negative. And I can't quite put my finger on what it was, but honestly, I'm having such a good time that it doesn't even matter anymore.
No! Not Rainforest Cafe.
All right, I think it's time to head to bed for the night. Okay, day 4 of the trip, and we're headed from
Oh,
Austin,
okay, I think
Texas to
Adblock
New
was
Orleans,
doing its thing.
Louisiana. And as we made our way across Texas, we decided to stop at Buc-ee's. If you're unaware of what
Buc-ee's!
Buc-ee's is, it is a chain of absolutely massive
This is a gas station.
stations.
Why do you
It
need
is
a
chaotic
cart?
in there, but people love it. They make their own food inside. They have their own merch. People lose. He kind of creeps me out a little bit. And some of these Buc-ee's are so big, busy, and frantic that as a child, you could easily
Is
get
Buc-ee's
lost.
like a gas station grocery store?
Buc-ee's nuts. Ted,
Buc-ee's nuts.
did I say child? Because I meant adult. I have lost Ted. I am
Oh,
not freaking out,
no.
and Bucky doesn't scare me. But
It's
yeah,
not-
where is Ted?
it's,
I
like,
can't
not
find
that
Ted.
great
All I
compared to
can
other
find is
fandom
everything
lores.
Bucky's.
Oh my God,
Bucky's
really?
rubs, Bucky's
I've heard the
nuts,
opposite.
Bucky's pillows, Bucky's blankets, Bucky's onesies. This place is so big, I'm never gonna find him. I'm gonna be stuck in this Bucky's forever. I'm gonna have to move in with
Honey,
Bucky.
can I
He's gonna
get
be
you, like,
my
a Buc-ee's
roommate.
plushie,
Where
like the
is
ones you're
Ted?
showing
Oh,
on screen?
He's just the checkout
It's just
aisle.
a giant
Crisis
gas
averted. We
station.
also ran into this dude Braden who had met us last year while we were on the trip for the Rainforest Cafes because he watches our videos.
I would
what
cry
are
if I
the
got
odds
one.
that we
I
see
know
the
it to get
same
you,
guy
man.
in a different part of Texas 1 year later for
What
this
the
trip?
fuck?
After our stop at Buc-ee's, we drove all the way to
Aw.
New Orleans. No Margaritaville this night, so we went out on Bourbon Street and had some drinks and a good time. I didn't record a lot because I just wanted to focus on relaxing and having a
What
good
is
time, so
happening?
we will see you tomorrow. Hitting the road today is
Now we
special
have to go
because
to
for the first time on
Margaritaville.
the trip, Ted and
Like,
I
we
are
actually
headed
have
to
to go,
stay at
like,
our
I
first
actually have to go one of
Margaritaville
these days.
hotel. This one
Guys,
was
give
in
me the FNAF
Biloxi,
intentionally because
Mississippi,
predicted
and
certain
we
things
were
about the lore
shocked pulling
to mess
into the
with Matt
parking
Pat.
lot.
Oh my
Before
god.
us was a
You could rip out the
massive
stuff,
building
filling in
right
where
on the
the
water
giant
of the Gulf
Buc-ee's
of
or
Mexico.
feel the
But
FNAF
Ted
lore
needed
just
the
have a
room
lot
to get
going
some
on
work
that
done,
doesn't
so I
need it.
decided
Yeah,
to
I
explore
agree.
and see what this whole place was all
I mean,
about.
it's
And as I
interesting.
headed up the escalator
I
in the
just
main
couldn't
part of the
understand it
building,
probably as
I
well
was
as other
met with
people.
one of the largest arcades I'd ever seen in my life. They
Dude, this
had
is my goal in
everything.
life, not gonna
Rock
lie.
climbing, zip
Oh my
lines,
god, let's go on
bowling,
a date
and
to
even the globally known
Margaritaville.
and incredibly popular game,
What-
Stinky Feet.
what?
Apparently, this place used to be a failed
Ever heard of Omega Mart? I
Margaritaville
have. I've been
casino
to
that
Omega
was
Mart
converted
before.
into a family resort, which would explain the giant arcade floor. And
Honey,
as I
let's fight
explored a
at
bit more
Waffle
and saw a
House. You and
pool
me. Let's like pretend fight at Waffle House. I just remember that Waffle House video where the girl, somebody like threw a chair at her and she like threw it to the side while it was still in the air. Like it's a crazy. I hope you guys know which Waffle House video I'm talking about. Yeah, she caught the chair. Yeah, she did get fired. That was the sad part. She got fired.
and a theme park attached. I started to realize just how many Jimmy Buffett quotes
Why
echoed
are-
throughout
why
the
is, like,
halls.
Margarita
They were on
resorts, like, a
screens, in
thing?
elevators near the pool. I caught people talking about Jimmy to each other and to me. The
Honestly,
quotes
she
were all
probably
about living
made
his
that girl probably
lifestyle,
made
and
Waffle
it started
House
to
more
feel like I
popular.
booked a one-night stay into a Jimmy Buffett cult. After that, I met up with Ted to go to dinner, which was located above the arcade next to the volcano
You,
rock
me
climbing
holding
wall.
hands in
The menu was
Margaritaville.
different here with a flaming crawfish dip that Ted and I really enjoyed. And
Can
I
I
didn't
get a
really want
hug?
another fried
Maybe.
meal, but
My
this was
bladder's going to
Mississippi. and they
explode.
had
Oh my
fish
God,
fry,
honey.
So I went for it.
I'm gonna
And
go
it
have a
was
good
pretty
stream.
good,
Can't wait to
but
fight
I
you.
really should have listened to my gut on this one
Bye,
because
honey.
this
Thank
fried
you
food
again for
so
the
frequently
raid.
is
Love
starting to
you.
kill me. Then suddenly, an alarm went off.
Bye.
The room turned red and the
Uh-oh.
volcano began to
What's
smoke.
happening?
Like that time Justin Bieber used a smoke machine on his fans. It continued on for a while until the smoke stopped and this happened.
I want to
Well,
watch that again.
Like that time Justin Bieber used a smoke machine on his fans. It continued on for a while until the smoke stopped and
Oh
this
my
happened.
God, Justin Bieber, please. I can't do it anymore. Oh my God. What happened there? Ew.
What the fuck was that?
Then after our meal,
What
we hit
happens
the
at
arcade.
Margaritaville stays at Margaritaville.
All right, Ted, go easy on him. Ted, go easy on him.
I think Ted's kind of
Ted,
mad here.
and just before the whole thing closed, I played one final game of the world famous Stinky Feet. The thing is, you need
What
two
is
players to play
happening?
Stinky Feet, and Ted was busy on another game, so I charged my card twice and decided to play by myself. When a child no older than 4 walked up, grabbed the water gun, and started playing next to me without saying a word.
Honestly, he's based. That kid is gonna go places. Why is there a song?
And after a fierce battle, I won. I beat the child. I am the king of Stinky Feet. Today started with a lunch at the Margaritaville in Destin, Florida. Now this Margaritaville was directly on the water. Unlike, say, the one at Universal City
Wait,
Walk,
is
this
it
one was
accessible
not
to
themed
me?
to be on a beach. It just actually was on a beach. Our lunch here was going to be
Wait,
my first
is
of
this the
2
nearest
Margaritaville
Margaritaville
meals in the
to
day.
me?
I got an Uptown Margarita, even though I'm getting pretty tired of having sweet cocktails so often, and also got the jerk salmon.
Oh, that
the
sounds
drink
good.
was fine, and the salmon was actually pretty good, especially after a bunch of days of fried and road trip food. The view of our meal
Honestly,
also
that sounds like
featured
a
a bunch
dream.
of weird
Oh my
boats.
God.
That was just really fun
What
for
is
me to see a lot
happening?
of boats that look like they're not supposed to be on the water. We
You know
then
what?
paid
Maybe
the
I
check
should.
and
Maybe,
got
maybe,
our
chat, I should look into opening a margarita down here in Atlantis.
hour and a
Joe's
half
Crab
before
Shack.
we had
Oh,
another
no.
Margaritaville meal in Panama City Beach. The PCB location was at this boardwalk area called Pier Park. And even though it was a little bit cloudy, this location was right on the water and beautiful yet again, which was a great distraction because the last thing I wanted to do an hour and a half after my last meal was to eat a meal at the same restaurant in a different location. The interior was pretty big and elaborate compared to some we had seen, but
Oh
the
my
place was super
God.
busy, so Ted and I opted to sit at the bar. I was still so full from the salmon, but I decided to get a chicken quesadilla for my food and a what the fuck was it called? A Ruby Red Renegade for my cocktail.
Oh
Why
my
did I choose
God.
it? Because the name of the vodka in it was called Deep Eddy, and that's my name, so I got it. Even though we were both full and exhausted, at least Ted and I had a perfect view of a very blue-tinted TV screen that exclusively showed Jimmy Buffett's Instagram
Deciding I
posts,
made a
and
child
boy,
cry
does this
because
guy
of my
know how to
TG.
post. You had to
I'm
kind of
quite-
squint
I'm
to
quite
see
proud
what
of my
the pictures were
accomplishment.
because the TV screen
Congratulations!
was so blue. But this guy's posting feet for free. Jimmy,
For
you are a
free?
celebrity. You can charge for those puppies. Then we headed to the beach to see the sunset. And wow,
guys.
this was absolutely beautiful.
I
had a
know.
great
I did such a
time
good job.
wiggling my
Thank
toes in
you.
the sand and staring at the sunset. But you don't get to see my toes because you didn't pay me. In the last
Can
6
I-
days,
oh,
we had
$5,
driven over
take it or leave it.
35 hours and over 2,000 miles. And my stomach was absolutely full of 2 Margaritaville meals. But either
Oh
way,
my
I
God,
couldn't
guys.
deny that this trip
Look,
had brought
guys,
me
wait,
to
hold up.
such a beautiful
Me and Eddie took a selfie. Okay, so this was when me and Eddie were, after we ate Margaritaville. Look at us, we had so much fun. Poseidon being parasocial, what are you talking about? Me and Eddie are besties.
But either way, I couldn't deny that this trip had brought me to
Eddie
such
has a
beautiful
restraining order
spot.
against
Ted and
you.
I
What are
were
you
even lucky
talking
enough
about?
to
Me
see
and Eddie are like
dolphins out there
besties.
swimming in the water. I don't think the dolphins saw us, but if they did,
Those
and
were
our-
those were the same dolphins I sent over to try to convince them to marry me.
watching this, you saw my toes for free, and you owe me money. The drive today was
Can
a big
I-
one,
I-
going from
I have
Panama City
$5,
Beach
okay?
to Hollywood Beach, Florida. And I'll
Unless
be
you want
honest, it
Atlantean
was
doubloons,
pretty taxing.
then
Not
I only have
only
5
was it
like
a
US
9-hour
dollars.
drive, but we had multiple stretches of heavy rain.
Ruh-roh.
Well, I'm from Florida, and the rain isn't such a big deal. Shut up. Okay, shut up and go tell Mickey Mouse I do not care. Rain is slippery, and slippery is dangerous. We got to the Margaritaville Hotel
Oh my
completely
God.
exhausted.
My
This
dream
was another massive building. It featured a
is to be-
chandelier of
to go to the
margarita, a Jimmy Buffett museum lining the hallway. The restaurant was attached to the hotel, so we sat down exhausted and starving. Now, this menu was a bit classier than other locations. We ordered a shrimp ceviche and poke nachos.
Oh.
Both were pretty good, unlike my ginger margarita, which was not great. But my entree, the lemon
No, we're
tahini
not
bowl,
doing any
made
more
this
Poseidon
the best meal
rays.
we had so far. Turns out the best meal you can have at Margaritaville is when you have food that isn't from the standard Margaritaville menu. And after an exhausting day, having some decent food and drinks was exactly what I needed. They also had a live band playing, and for the first time at Margaritaville, I was feeling it. I had Jimmy fever. Jimmy's concert footage was playing on screen, and it was a comforting presence after a hard day. After dinner, Ted let me know that he had to last minute
I
record something for his
want the
channel, so he got a
400
separate room and I got
real
ours
edible
all
that
to
one that I
myself.
ate so
But lucky
bad.
for
Oh my
me, I
God.
was kept company because Jimmy was on the hotel.
Jimmy, thank you for
Have you not
escaping
seen
to
it? The dude with the-
Margaritaville. For many years,
Not a mustache
Margaritaville
did
was
it.
only
What?
a song about a
You just
mythical
thought it was
place.
candy.
Now, Margaritaville is real.
Watching the hotel TV made me realize just
I have a
how
new virus if you wanna
strikingly
download that
handsome and
too.
charming Jimmy
Oh
was.
no.
So now, enjoy Margaritaville and remember, fins up.
Fins up, Jimmy. Waking up on day 8, we had 2 Margaritavilles on the schedule. The first on the list was in Miami. As we headed into the city, we spotted the coolest guy that's ever lived.
Yo! Florida man!
What's he doing?
Oh my God, it's Florida man!
Oh.
No, No
and then we pulled
way!
up to the Miami Margaritaville, which was right on the water. At this point, I am about to give up on trying one cocktail at every Margaritaville. We just drank last night, and it's not even just about the alcohol, it's the sugar when you're having cocktail after cocktail. But for now, I got the last mango in Paris, and good for me, this is one of the best cocktails I've had so far. But a little hungover and exhausted, I spotted a familiar face. I looked up and
Candace
saw
Lake,
Jimmy
Florida.
once again on the
Beside
screen,
Josie
as
Ocean,
if
the
to
ones
say,
with ice glaciers.
"You're all good, pal.
It's-
Have a
it's
good
part of
time."
the
I
ocean,
ordered the
too.
grilled fish tacos,
It's
which
just
for
cold ocean.
Margaritaville were pretty damn good.
So many
Now, if
kidney
this were
stones
at a
as
good
much. This guy
taco
must have
stand
had it. Oh
somewhere,
my
they would be
God.
mediocre to
I can't
kind of
imagine.
bad.
What does your
But for
stomach
now,
feel
they're
like after
hitting the
eating so
spot.
much
Then it was time to
Margaritaville?
book it to Key West, Florida. We got lucky on the drive and just narrowly avoided
Can we
the
escape
storm,
Florida,
but I gotta say, once we
please?
actually
I
hit the
can't do
highway
any
to
more
Key
Florida.
West, this drive was absolutely beautiful. If you're unaware, the Florida Keys are a collection of islands off the mainland of Florida. In American culture, these islands are pretty famous. I'm sure you've heard the Beach Boys talk about it, or our boy Jimmy Buffett himself, whose entire culture around his songs is really based in Key West, Florida.
Oh
We
my
made our way through the
God.
Keys, and I was excited because Key West was the location of the original Margaritaville. I was pretty surprised by how local it felt. I mean, the rest of the Margaritaville locations we went to felt like a big and branded American chain. And while this one was definitely still themed, it felt more preserved from another time rather than this huge corporate thing. We were feeling pretty good, so Ted and I
Poseidon looks the
decided to
same
order some
size when she
drinks.
sits
I
in
got
adult
a
chair.
Who's to
Shut
Blame
up.
because it's from the lyrics of the Margaritaville song. I decided to get a
I
cheeseburger
thought we
in
were gonna go
Paradise
into a
because
stream.
it just
What- like,
felt
can we
right
have
to
one
get at
stream,
this
right?
location.
We're
Everything
not
was just
talking
going
about
really well. My
my
burger
size or my
tasted
height.
a little bit more like a local burger than a chain burger. And in such a tropical location,
Has Poseidon ever had a goth emo phase? Of course I have.
I mean, how can you not enjoy yourself? After being done with dinner, we
Oh my
headed to
God!
the hotel.
He's so
Yet
cute.
again, I am happy we had a sponsor for this thing because, oh my
Is
God,
Poseidon
I would
mommy?
not
Yes.
be paying for this shit by myself. The location was right on the beach, so after checking
don't know
in,
about
we
MILF,
decided to
but
go
I'm definitely,
relax and
like-
see the sunset. Last year,
We were
when
watching
we did
Fi-
our
oh, we
Rainforest
were watching
Cafe
FNAF
road trip,
earlier.
It was fun, but,
But
also
it just got too
incredibly
confusing and
taxing.
too much for
But
my
the
little
last
brain,
few
so I had to
days
switch.
on the beach were just too beautiful to stress about this entire road trip. And that's when it finally
It's
happened.
me.
Staring out at the water, I felt my stress melt and wash away with the tide.
I do have kids.
Even though we'd
I
driven
do.
over 40 hours in 8 days.
Oh my
and
God,
even
Ted
though
is
my
so
last
fine.
5 meals in a row were all
Ted,
Margaritaville,
please!
I got it.
Give
I
me a
understood.
chance!
Jimmy
Ted,
Buffett
please,
wasn't
please,
just
please.
some
I want to go on a
guy who turned
margarita,
one
margarita
hit song into a corporate empire.
Dateville,
He's the king
thing
of
with
being
you.
chill
Oh
and
my God, I'm getting
enjoying
nervous
yourself.
talking
Right where
about
my
that.
toes wiggled in the sand is where Jimmy started this
You have a
whole
lot of
thing.
children, not
I
as much
can't
as
do
Zeus.
this trip like
But yeah, I do
Eddie
have-
would.
I do have
I have to
children.
do it like Jimmy because no matter how stressed I get in life, mentally I have to be just
Listen,
like
listen,
Jimmy
listen,
Buffett.
listen.
You-
When I'm down bad, I don't know what to say. Ted has gotten me kind of like this. Look. Ted, do you want to go on a Margaritaville date with me? Did you want to share the perfect cocktail and we can eat the microwaved fish and chips?
Come to a place like this and you can forget about wars,
That's-
famine, class disparity. I mean,
This one's
all that stuff is
Eddie,
still
though.
happening, but I'm in Florida and I had a margarita today. Liking
I'm not
Buffett
bald,
isn't
shut up.
some weird cult thing. It's what can fix me.
I want
The
somebody
next
to
morning, I
margarita
woke up
raise me
feeling
up.
better than I ever have in my entire life.
Oh my
And as I
God.
was going through my bag, I mysteriously found an article of clothing that I had never packed. This shirt not only looked great on me, but also had put itself on my merch website,
Pizza or
yikeshop.com.
taco?
And
Oh,
you can
that's
get
hard.
it by going there
I
and clicking
kind
the
of
link in
prefer
the
tacos if you want
description.
me to be honest.
What the hell? That's so weird. Anyways, I
Wait,
felt
I
refreshed
want
and was
your
ready to
merch.
head back to mainland Florida. Today's plan was just to drive up to Orlando and stay at the Margaritaville Resort there. We decided to give ourselves one break day because it's near the halfway point, and then the next day we'd be going to Universal Studios Orlando, where there's a Margaritaville restaurant at their City Walk. The resort in Orlando was giant. Now, Ted was a little bit late to the bookings of the resort, but luckily, even though they ran out of rooms at the hotel, they had these cottages for him to
Oh
stay
my
in.
God.
I instantly just felt relaxed. surrounded by my favorite quotes from my favorite guy. Oh, and also it was nice to be with my lovely girlfriend, Chrissy. Margaritaville! Chrissy actually wrote a song last year about wanting to live her
Do I
life at
like the Borderland
Margaritaville.
games?
But
I haven't played
unfortunately
them
for her,
before.
that's my life
you a
now.
margarita?
So that's my thing.
No!
The two of us had a bit of a date
I mean,
night.
I did
We had
ask
a fun
for it.
night walking around
You're
Disney
gonna flood the
Springs,
state of
enjoying
Florida
the
Discord. I
sights and
did,
just having a
but
nice
I
time.
want to go visit all the Margaritavilles before I do that. Oh, and the Rainforest Cafes, of course. We're gonna do that first. We're gonna go on a date to Margaritaville before I go and flood. Oh no! And therapist is like, what's on your mind today? Well, you see, I've been having a lot of nightmares, and those nightmares consist of Rainforest Cafe. And then the therapist is like, what are you talking about? Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Well, I spent an entire month of my life eating at every single Rainforest Cafe. I can't unhear the sounds of the elephants and the birds and the gorillas. I can't unhear it anymore.
Footage of this
Are you a
manatee eating
Margaritaville
some
margarita
lettuce,
because
so
you are
that's
super
pretty
sweet?
cool. We were also
Aw.
hanging out with
Just a normal, just chatting
we were
stream.
hanging
This
out
is
with
just a
Drew
normal
Gooden,
Poseidon
my good
stream.
friend Drew Gooden. But Drew and Amanda did join us on the Rainforest Cafe trip in Orlando last year. So I figured, of course, I would ask them if they wanted to do it again.
Do you want to go to Margaritaville?
It's just one dinner. I'm not eating dinner right now.
I'll go to Margaritaville with you.
I want to go home. You can do it whenever. I
No.
want to.
Back when we were in Biloxi,
We're
I
only
feel that I was a bit misguided in how I
11
felt
days
about Jimmy.
into this?
Staying at our third
What the fuck?
Margaritaville resort brought me so much comfort. Jimmy was constantly speaking to me and reminding
Dude, Stevie, can you ask Ted if he's single? No! No! God damn it! I want Ted. No, I think I actually caused an earthquake somewhere.
reminding me to be calm, to breathe in and
God.
appreciate the beach, and also to drink alcohol.
Listen. Ted, if you ever see this, I caused an earthquake for you. You see how dedicated and committed I am? Please. Aren't you married?
Leaving the resort, though, we were headed to Universal Studios. It was located just outside the park at City Walk in Orlando. Before we entered the park, Chrissy got this awesome hat. I also tried on a hat that I was totally pulling off. Am I pulling it off?
My love
But
for you
I
is like
decided
the
against it
Achilles
because
heel,
I
my
didn't want
only
everyone
weak
at the park
spot.
to be
Oh my
jealous of
god.
me today. We then entered the park, and immediately Ted got something called Who Hash, which is, you know, a Dr. Seuss themed food that looks like it's served out of a dog food can.
Is it like corned
Cindy.
beef?
That's her name. Tastes like Cindy Lou Who. Or, I don't know, the mayor.
We then spent the
Ew.
day going on rides and having fun, but right before we left, Chrissy and I decided to
Why
go
are we
on
trying
the
to
Cat
seduce
in
me?
the
What is
Hat
going on, chat?
This
Like
ride
what is
was
happening?
Absolutely terrifying.
Oh my god! Jump scare warning!
What
What
the
is
hell
this?
is this? Is this supposed to be for children? Because this would absolutely terrify me as a
I'm
kid.
horrified.
It terrified me right now.
Oh my god! What
After
is
being absolutely
happening?
traumatized by the Cat in the Hat ride, we decided to go to the Margaritaville just outside. This one had an extra bar across the walkway with a plane next to it, and this is where I figured out that every time you see a plane in Margaritaville, it's a replica of Jimmy's personal seaplane, the Hemisphere Dancer. Wait a minute, quick clarification here. This is the actual fucking plane. They retired
Oh.
Jimmy's plane, and it is decoration at the Margaritaville in Orlando. I was next to Jimmy's real plane, and I had no idea. I'm such an idiot. When we sat down for dinner, I got the
You both
hooly
streamed so
hooly
late
chicken
for
and
me.
shrimp.
I'm
and
sorry.
this dish, sucked. The chicken was fine, but the shrimp was really dry. But hey, just like my favorite guy, I
you were
spent the day
close.
in the sun. I ate some food
I was close.
and
No,
had
shut
a
up.
margarita by the
I was
water.
close.
Margaritaville employees on stilts. It's always fun to see.
Okay, we're
somebody
not
on
talking about
stilts.
Vaporeon.
You're not supposed to be that tall. And I'll
No!
be quite honest, it'd be funny if you fell over. The next day, I had to say goodbye to Chrissy as we headed out from the Margaritaville resort.
Oh no.
Whoa. To meet at the truck, we had to head to the cottages that Ted was staying in, and I got a good look at this neighborhood. Who would have thought that Jimmy also owns full neighborhoods across the country? And normally,
Honestly,
this would make
I think
me
we
feel
should all
kinda
aspire
weird,
to be
but I'm just
Jimmy.
glad that they're providing housing to those in need. Retired people in Orlando. Once again, we hit the road, headed for Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Now, we're
Tomorrow,
not eating
you
at
should
the
do it tomorrow,
Margaritaville there
Hades.
tonight.
Oh, but
we're
we're
actually doing it
collabing
tomorrow
tomorrow.
afternoon, which is great because my stomach is on fire. But I've learned from Jimmy, you know, all of it is
Sidetrack.
worth it at the end of the day when you're rewarded with a tropical location. And looking at the rest of the trip, I can't wait to explore the
No
other
more
tropical
Vaporeon! Is this
locations
the
this
copy
nation has
pasta?
to offer.
Stop it!
Margaritaville's in places like Atlanta,
Are
Georgia.
you and sisters ever planning on a
Syracuse,
collaboration
New
gaming stream
York,
tomorrow?
or Cleveland, Ohio.
Shut up,
So, yeah,
Harry!
I might be speaking.
I
too
get it, you
soon,
have
but
it better
I'm
than me.
pretty confident that I totally won't get tired of Margaritaville. When we woke up in Myrtle Beach, we didn't get to see the beach or the ocean at all because we had to go straight to the Margaritaville. This will start a stretch of 4 Margaritaville meals in a row. This one was located at Heroes Harbor and was pretty standard for most Margaritavilles.
What is happening?
Except for the giant Margaritaville.
Why is that just in the
hurricane on
middle of the
ceiling,
floor?
hovering above one of their giant blenders. Due to the fact
is
that
that?
I was going to have Margaritaville a second time today, I decided to take it easy and get a grilled chicken sandwich. The sandwich was wet. It didn't seem like this was butter or anything. It tasted like water. I'll be honest.
I'm really sorry. I'll post a tweet longer later, but I just felt the need to wet the burger.
morning I am out of energy and my chicken sandwich is super bland.
I
Normal
tried to
Eddie
not look
would
at
be
the
bummed,
Vaporeon
but
copy
it was like I
pasta.
could
Please don't
almost
post
feel
it again.
Jimmy's large, warm hands on my shoulder as I took in a breath and pictured myself on the beach.
What?
Pixelated toes wiggling in the sand. Suddenly, I was okay again. Immediately after Heroes Harbor, we had to book it to Atlanta, Georgia. Our schedule was very tight, so we had to get to Atlanta before we went
I
to
am
bed that
nobody's
night, because
wife.
The next day, we had a very long
Except for
drive and
Amphitrite.
2 Margaritavilles to hit. But on
And
our
maybe-
drive,
maybe Ted. I'll
traffic
marry Ted.
completely stopped.
Uh-oh.
Stuck on the highway. I have to pee.
Just pee on the
delay
side,
was
dude.
so long that we ended up calling the Margaritaville and asking when they closed because our ETA was 10 p.m. Luckily, they said the kitchen was open until 11, so we were fine if we got there an hour early. But when we arrived, we found the doors were locked, and when we asked one of the employees, they said they closed the kitchen early. This would completely ruin the next week of planning for us. But Ted threw a Hail Mary and told them that we were going to every Margaritaville in the country and that we absolutely needed to eat here tonight, but we didn't want to bother them. So if there was any way they could even give us like a bowl of chips to eat, that would be enough. And the manager said, "I got you." So they had us
The
sit down,
manager's
and
a
the
real
bar was open,
one!
but the kitchen was absolutely closed. They got us margaritas and then brought out a piping hot plate of ribs, fries, and spinach and artichoke dip. Ted and I
Listen,
were kind of
listen,
in
listen.
disbelief.
Me and Aphrodite, we've been through a lot of therapy. We're working things out, but I love them so much. Listen, we're in couples therapy.
Because they had no reason to do this for us, but they just did it because they saw we kind of needed some help with our extremely stupid road trip. And all the manager asked was that we just give her a good Google and Yelp review, so we absolutely did that. We of course left a tip, and I just gotta say, this is not me.
I am
praising
not
the
a
Margaritaville Corporation. It was just every single employee in there was so nice to us. They did not have to do that. We are 2 guys doing the stupidest thing in the world,
Me and my
they
sisters
did
are not
need
whores. It's just propaganda. Whatever you heard about us being whores, not true. Hades, please take them to the underworld for me, would you?
to do any extra work for us, and I am very grateful that they did. So thank you to everybody who works there. It is 7 a.m. It is now day 14. 2 whole weeks of my life on Margaritaville. Today was
no.
another double Margaritaville day that included 8 to 9 hours of driving. Ted caught up on some sleep as I drove, both of us mentally exhausted. And as we got to downtown Nashville to have lunch, we walked. This one was pretty standard. You know, it had live music, a tiki room, and a plane on the ceiling.
no.
Did I want to be in another standard Margaritaville, eating another standard Margaritaville meal? Not exactly, but it's not about what I want, it's about what Jimmy would do. I got a Southwest chicken salad, and when the salad arrived, the chicken was so so dry, which is fine. You know, I don't have a problem with that at all. In fact, I think that's cool as hell. Give me another margarita. Yeah, I could give me another margarita.
Margaritaville, number 12, I think. How you feeling, Ted?
I'm fucking losing it, man.
Then it was time to head for the 13th in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Now, Pigeon Forge is famous for its theme park.
Is that Dolly Parton?
Now, Dollywood is a magical place.
No, what do you mean that was the real Dolly Parton? What are you talking about?
Created by country legend Dolly Parton.
Yeah!
And to be honest, I would love to check this out, but we have no time to do anything on this trip but go to Margaritavilles. Heading into Pigeon Forge, their main street reminded me a lot of the Wisconsin Dells where I went frequently as a kid. Both feel like Vegas strips for Midwest family tourists.
God.
The Pigeon Forge Margaritaville was a hotel and a restaurant, but I did not expect it to be in the middle of this huge entertainment center with I were splitting this very interesting room. It was covered in Margaritaville branding and also had a balcony that went out into the shopping center. We headed down for dinner, and this Margaritaville restaurant was pretty standard except for 2 giant jugs of margarita ingredients with piping that led to the restaurant's blender. At this point, I can say that we are officially burnt out. 13 meals at the same restaurant.
No, I give Hyrule
days.
all
But in times like
permission
these,
to join
it's
you
important
guys.
to turn to faith. A higher power that can give you strength. I need to think WWJD. What would Jimmy do? If Jimmy didn't want a single bite of this food or a margarita, he'd kick off his sandals, throw his feet on the table, lean back, and order a cheeseburger in paradise and another margarita?
No more cheeseburger in paradise,
I mean, if that's
please.
what Jimmy would do, I guess.
Why are the pickles so big? They cut pickles the wrong way.
I loved every single bite of it, and I was very
Listen,
glad
I don't
that
like
Jimmy
pickles
was
in my
keeping
burgers 'cause I'm a
watchful eye on
baby.
me the entire meal. I ate the entire thing. I wasn't sick of this food or extremely full. I was cool as a cucumber. Does this look like the face
I
of
will give you
somebody who
oxygen
isn't
to
as
make
chill
it
as Jimmy Buffett? To prove how chill I was, I decided to grab this hat from the gift shop, and I was totally pulling it off. Ted went to finish his video in the room, and a chill guy like me decided to cruise around and see the sights. Normally, even though I don't have a fear
I
of
think my ad
heights,
block
I've
actually worked right
generally
there.
avoided Ferris wheels. I also don't like doing things socially in public when I'm alone, like riding a ride. But I wasn't normal me anymore.
Can I
I've
tell
been
you guys
born
something?
again
Poseidon
as
doesn't like
something
roller coasters
much better.
either.
Cool, Eddie.
Poseidon
So when
went
I
to
got in
Disneyland
line, I
one
spotted
time,
the family ahead of me
and
being forced
she
to
went on
take a green
Credit
screen
Coaster,
picture
and
before
that
getting on
thing
the ride.
actually
And I thought,
looked-
they're not going to force me to take that picture by
They
myself,
actually
right?
traumatized me. But I think what traumatized me more was Guardians of the Galaxy,
I got on that
which is
Ferris
basically like
wheel
the
and
old,
was
the newer
totally
Tower
chill
of
the
Terror.
whole time.
It was so funny because when I went to Disneyland, so the guy was there and we got on the ride, and I was with some of my mortal friends, and the guy was like, "Oh, is it anybody's first time riding the Guardians ride?" And if you guys don't know what it is, it's a huge drop ride. It's really big. I don't know how they convinced me to get on the ride, but I somehow did because I didn't want to be a baby. And there were a bunch of like little kids in there and like their families, and the ride person was like, "Oh, is it anybody's first time riding this ride?" Guess who was the only bitch who raised her hand? It was me. I was a big baby.
I am not worried about how
I didn't even notice the frame I paused on.
Oh, we're shaking. Oh. So chill, in fact, that I fell asleep while on the ride. Swear to God, I was dead asleep. After I felt phenomenal. Normal Eddie wouldn't have gone on that Ferris wheel alone, but thanks to Jimmy, I have faith. The next day, all we had to do was drive from Tennessee to Atlantic City, New Jersey. After yesterday, I have absolutely zero complaints about the trip. I'm chill, I'm fun, I'm not exhausted in the slightest, and because of that, I decided to catch up on a little bit of reading from my favorite guy.
Do you know that Jimmy Buffett is 76 years young?
Oh no.
Cool.
Jimmy actually has over 30 albums, most of which have gone gold, platinum, or some even have gone multi-platinum. They would hoot and holler and roll all round up there at the church they built out of an old school bus. And they'd run through the swamp. Don't you know
Oh my
Nicky
God,
fucking
Ted.
with Reverend Sonny Boy and his followers? Snakebite Key was his domain.
Ted,
We started day 16 at the Margaritaville
me
in
a
Atlantic
chance.
City. This one was located inside of a casino, and
Oh
even
my
though
God.
it was 11:30,
Don't
I
even
got
get
a
me
margarita
started
for Jimmy.
on-
I enjoyed my morning
on
margarita
Poseidon
because
and
that's the kind of
casinos.
guy that I am now. Other than that,
I'll have you know, chat, I won $5 at a slot machine. Las Vegas, my best friend.
complimented my shirts, which you could get at yikeshop.com. My lava lava shrimp was
Okay, that
crispy
looks
and I
good.
liked the sauce. I was having a great time.
I like
even
fried
saw
just
oars
shrimp.
on the wall of Jimmy's most famous moments, like when he performed for Facebook, when he played
performed
the
for
electric guitar,
Facebook?
when he rocked on, and when he had a mustache. Then we headed to the beach to see the ocean so I could really take in the atmosphere.
He came to visit me.
New Jersey.
Next, we made our way to New York City. Now, normally, staying in Times Square would be my nightmare. New York is great, but the crowds, the germs, and the general vibe of Times Square
Where's the
is
rats?
a fever dream. But Cool Eddie didn't think about those things, so we checked into the hotel and went to our rooms.
This is the whole room.
When we headed
That's so
downstairs, before we went
tiny.
up the escalator to go to the restaurant, I was talking to one of the employees and they gave me a warning. They said,
Nice
don't
try.
order the Jimmy's Jammin' Jambalaya. And I said, why? They
Why?
replied with, it's bad. Steer clear of it. So I will not be getting that right now.
You
As we
should just
walked
get it.
into the restaurant, a
I would've
shining
gotten it.
beacon caught my eye. In the center of the room was a giant replica of the Statue of Liberty holding a margarita to the sky. The margarita glass was made out of an LED screen that played video on it. This was a shining beacon of light for all of those across the world who wanted to head to America and eat at a Margaritaville in
I have
Times Square.
arrived with
And
Hot
this wasn't just the
Pockets. Can you
Statue of
share?
Liberty. This was a sign from Jimmy that I had not gone far enough. So we ordered some food and some drinks with Ted's friends Katie and Devin, and this is where I decided to go all in. Anytime I felt a moment of being tired on this road trip or wanted to go home, I'd cut it short with another sip of a margarita. And we had margarita after
my
margarita.
God.
The
He's
Margaritaville in
drinking
Times
so
Square
much.
also has bars on multiple floors.
What?
So we decided to do the Margaritaville bar crawl. Drink after drink, I could feel myself becoming
Oh,
closer to the man
no.
himself. And as Ted headed home for the night, I wandered around Times Square. I was invincible. I could make a beach out of anything. And it was then that I saw the absolute beauty of this place. Times Square was just like the beaches I'd been to. And I could live like this every night for the rest of my life. All right, it is
No.
7 in the morning. I fear that last night I jimmied a little too close to the sun. I don't know how Jimmy
No.
does this. I don't know how you can sustain this lifestyle. After getting out of bed, I got locked in the bathroom. As we make our way out of New York, I need to be honest with you. I know this may come as a shock, but I have not been loving every single Margaritaville. I just can't do it. I can't be like Jimmy. But we were headed to yet another in Syracuse, New York.
We did actually
with
pin-
Ted's
Yes,
friend
you
Tucker.
did, Hades.
Pulling up in Syracuse, it seemed to be a
You
mall
did
called
pin it.
Destiny USA.
Not exactly a tropical beach somewhere.
I parked in a different spot from everyone else and got lost in the mall trying to find them, so I went to this guy Spencer for directions. Word of advice, do not go in there. Arriving to this Margaritaville, it was clear that this one
Have
was
you guys been
probably
to
the worst
Spencer's?
we'd ever seen. It was a lifeless Margaritaville in a mall. The food
There was one time I went to Spencer's, and there was just this like weird shaped thing, and it was like super long. And then the employee came up to me and was like, "Hey, how old are you?" And I replied, I was like, "Hey, you don't ask a woman for her age. Clearly, I'm old enough, right?" But he said that it's adults only back there, and I'm like, "What the fuck do you mean? These are just massagers. I don't see why." But anyway, I never been to Spencer's after that.
average, and if it wasn't for good conversation in the group, I would have really hated this lunch. Next up was Niagara Falls, so yet again the boys
What?
were headed to Canada.
Any plants or animals?
It was like a really weird experience. I don't know why he was asking me
No.
why I was back there.
No.
It is unpinned.
No.
Thank
Once we
you,
were through the border, we
Hyrule.
decided to park and walk over to the Margaritaville. And the energy
Everybody say
at the
thank you,
Niagara
Hyrule.
Falls Margaritaville was different. We were seated next to a massive Niagara Falls screen. And aside from the projector waterfall, the menu was different and they had this pirate mascot guy. Hey Canada, Jimmy's the mascot.
What is that?
You don't need a pirate. Jimmy's already there. I got the buffalo poutine because we were in Canada, and to my surprise,
the
this
mods?
was by far the
You know
best
what?
thing I've
We
had
can
at
have a
Margaritaville.
conversation
The chicken
later.
and fries were crispy. The gravy was really good.
What have
This
I
was
been
just a
doing to
really
your
great
mods?
meal. And then
I have
just
been
over the
bonking
falls,
them in the
a
head.
giant animatronic of a tequila bottle came
It's
over
okay,
the
it's
cliffside.
out of love. I
It
don't
then
care.
poured tequila into
Except
the giant
Hades.
blender in front of us. We
If
were
I were to
having
bonk
a
Hades,
blast
we
in
would
Canada.
actually
We
start
then
a fight.
decided to walk over to the falls.
Not that it's a
I saw
has-
this
it has
skunk on
happened
the
before,
way.
okay?
Check it out. As we were showing up to the falls, we happened to catch it right at the time that the fireworks show started. With a couple drinks in us, we had the best possible time in Canada. I should have a couple margaritas every night. Bad news, guys. My tummy hurts again.
Tummy ache
I
survivor.
don't care
Hot
anymore.
girl tummy
I'm
issues.
over this whole thing. Today we went to Cleveland.
Excuse me,
the
what
most
do you mean?
tropical Margaritaville that exists. I got a Caesar
I didn't
salad
know
and
the
the
only-
chicken on this thing.
No, I don't need to be on a
Wow.
leash.
Without exaggeration, this was the toughest piece of chicken I've ever chewed in my entire life. And for some reason, out of nowhere, Ted has started liking Margaritaville now? What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Lucky for me,
God,
day
I wish I was
19
that
in
margarita.
Chicago. Ted and I took the metro into the city because this one was located at Navy Pier. Now, I've mentioned before that I'm from the suburbs of Chicago, so it was really great to be home. And when we
What?
arrived at the city, it got
What
even
did-
better
wait,
because we
I
met
didn't
up
see
with my
anything
brother,
wrong,
Tony.
chat. What the fuck?
When we finally got to Navy Pier, we also met up with my good friend, Danny Gonzalez.
Ah, Danny!
Heading into this Margaritaville,
I
I was
used to watch
surprised to
Danny.
see that it looked more like a Chicago tavern than a regular Margaritaville restaurant. Everyone in the group obviously wanted margaritas, and I didn't want to be a buzzkill, so I went for another one
Poseidon visit
again.
Underworld
We
often
noticed that
she's
the
down
photos for the
atrocious.
fish and chips
Probably,
made them
yeah.
look higher quality than we'd seen before, so out of curiosity, I ordered them again. They looked almost exactly the same, and even though everyone except for me was excited to eat, after the meal, none of us felt good.
Okay, so we
Oh
just
my
got out
God,
of
they
Margaritaville.
all
We're all feeling like we had a pretty heavy meal. But I think I know what'll make us feel better. The bean!
Yeah! They got Del Taco. We don't talk about Del Taco. Listen, chat. Oh, it's the bean. I felt the effects of Del Taco this morning, and let me tell you, I woke up with like the biggest tummy ache, and I wanted to cry. I am never, ever, ever setting my foot inside of a Del Taco ever again. It was disgusting. It was nasty. It was no.
Bean, 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 bean.
The bean! Can I touch the bean? Oh my god.
Bean, 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 bean.
But even the bean couldn't stop my tummy from hurting. What makes it worse is that Jimmy wouldn't have a tummy ache. He'd probably be cool and chill about all this. I am such a failure.
Bean, 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 bean.
Alright, we're about to leave my mom's, but I can understand why I felt so bad after eating the fish and chips. I woke up and my stomach is legitimately like, I'm in a little bit of pain. It's not like food poisoning or anything. I just think my body cannot handle this much Margaritaville. Eventually, I got my stuff together and we started the drive to Bloomington, Minnesota to go to the Margaritaville in Mall of America. During the drive, however, I found out that I was not the only one who was affected by yesterday's fish and chips.
So, Ted and I both got the fish and chips yesterday. And
Oh no.
we've had some, let's say, stomach issues today.
Yeah.
So I think I can officially
Moa?
say that we're getting
Mall of
pretty
Asia?
damn tired of eating
Sorry, I'm
Margaritaville
feel-
all the time.
When you say
You
Moa, I
know?
think of the Mall in the Philippines.
It's right,
What do you mean?
You had intestinal trouble today. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I mean, like the vibes kind of counteracted it a
The
little bit.
vibes counteracted. What are you talking about? You're
Yeah.
unhappy while we're on tropical beaches through all of
I
Florida.
don't know. I think my
You know, I realized I had some self-reflection. I realized some things were maybe a little bit different than I was saying.
The day you had self-reflection is the day you had diarrhea?
Finally, we got to Mall of America, the largest mall in the United States, so I could have Margaritaville for the
that a crayon?
20th time.
Mall of
And
Asia.
Ted
I'm sorry!
seemed more excited than ever for absolutely no reason.
I'm Filipino,
Not
chat.
only
I
are
thought
there
we
more
went over this.
Margaritavilles than Rainforest Cafes, but this one is taking a toll on my body, and I cannot wait.
Okay, listen, I am Filipino, but I don't speak Tagalog. I can understand like a good chunk of it. Like if somebody were to like speak Tagalog to me, I could probably for the like 70% understand what they're trying to tell me. But yeah, I know I had some people asking me. But yeah, I think somebody said, oh my god, Poseidon is like only half Filipino. No girl, I'm full Filipino. Magtulog ka ng tangina ka. Okay?
Be done. As we entered the biggest mall that the US has to offer, I felt a disturbing energy.
Thank you, Honta, for the
Oh,
ring!
God. I had somehow forgotten that this Margaritaville was directly across
Hello.
from the Rainforest Cafe.
What did I miss?
The two
Margaritaville.
restaurants that have broken my soul and made me look like a fool, sharing a space right next to each other. We headed inside to
I know
get
how to
this
say
one
thank you in
over with,
Tagalog.
and
How do
as
you
I
say
went
it then?
to order a water, Ted ordered
How do
us
you say it
two
then?
5 o'clock somewheres in a blender and an order of volcano nachos. The thought of drinking one of these drinks just 6 hours after trying to recover from yesterday's meal was sickening.
Maraming
And before
salamat.
I knew it,
That's
a
for another
giant
time?
mound of nachos arrived at the table. But
6
somehow,
hours in Monster Hunter
next
can make
to
you
my
insane a bit.
misery
Try 30 days
was
eating every single
Ted,
Margaritaville in the USA.
enjoying himself to a weird
knows how to say
degree
it, not
for
to write
the
it.
first time at the 20th Margaritaville. Then it was time for our entrees, and I realized that in my attempt to order as much of the menu
Oh
as
my
possible,
God.
I had only a few chances left to get a dish that I had been avoiding. One that sent shivers down my spine just hearing the name. Jimmy's Jammin' Jambalaya. As
Not
I went
the
for a bite, I
jambalaya!
clearly burned my mouth right here. I burned the shit out of my mouth. It doesn't look hot when you look at the plate, but when I picked it up on a fork, look at the steam, my God.
See, listen, when your food comes like piping hot like that, 9 times out of 10 they microwaved it. I learned that from Gordon Ramsay on Kitchen Nightmares.
Jimmy's Jammin' Jambalaya was fine. But when you eat at a restaurant 20 times in 20 days, everything from them starts to taste the same. And instead of joining me in my misery, Ted, yet again, was having a blast at the Mall of America. Look at the way he's eating. He's like charging up the fucking wall. I just can't fucking second trip in a row he's doing the exact same bullshit.
I know,
That's
Jimmy.
when, for the first time, the thought crossed my mind. I might kill Ted. After
No!
finishing our meal and paying, Ted demanded that we go
Can
on
I
a
even-
roller coaster
can I have Ted instead?
immediately.
I mean, can you let me digest for like...
After the troubles of this
Oh,
morning
no.
and forcing down this
Oh,
meal
no.
and having another super sweet cocktail, going on this ride broke me. Even though they didn't let us film, Ted insisted on going on the ride a second time right after we got off. So nauseous and tired, I walked around alone. There I was again, wasting away in Margaritaville.
No.
Not chill like Jimmy,
Ted,
Just-
please.
Eddie. Day 21, and thank God we only have one Margaritaville left in Las Vegas, Nevada. There's another one in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it's a 10-hour drive. Oh my God. When we
Oh,
arrived
no.
in Tulsa, we were shocked to find that this restaurant wasn't just in a casino. The casino was owned by Margaritaville. Walking past the slot machines to get to the restaurant, I noticed that there were Jimmy Buffett quotes on the wall, but they were less about being peaceful and more about luck and winning in the casino. We got to the restaurant and this one was pretty big. Lucky for me, the menu and food quality at this one was much better than most Margaritavilles. And having this food was actually pretty refreshing.
Why are you
after
using
a month
Google
of
Translate?
cheeseburgers in paradise. But as we left dinner, I noticed how Margaritaville branded the machines in the casino were. And they had these Margaritaville characters on it that I had never seen before. Mr. Moneybags, Lucky Ducky, Ducky? Who the hell are these people? Ted and I were on the final stretch
Jessica
across the
Rabbit,
country, and
but
all we
from
had to do today was
Walmart.
camp at Santa Rosa Lake in New Mexico. On our way, I stopped to buy snacks at the gas station when this dog came out of nowhere and was just hanging out near
It's
me.
the dog
Whose
distribution
dog is this?
system.
I'm in a gas station. Anyways, I grabbed my snacks and then, oh, hey. The owner said it was his dog. His name was Buddy, and he was very sweet. We got to our campsite, and it was beautiful.
Oh,
Ted made
no.
some steaks on the grill, and I made a little spread of meats and cheeses for us to snack on.
Charcuterie
Having a full
board.
day to enjoy ourselves and nature got
It's
me
a charcuterie
thinking.
board.
As we near the end of this road trip, I realized that maybe I was trying a little too hard to be like Jimmy Buffett. And on our way to Vegas, I questioned why I had strived to be a beloved, rich, and famous musician that gets to vacation all the time. I mean, what was I thinking? I don't need to be Jimmy Buffett. I need to be myself. And to truly be myself, I need to face what I fear most.
I'll be honest, Las
Something
Vegas is
that
probably
has
one
been
of my favorite
haunting me
places on
for
the planet.
over a year of my life. And finally, I think I'm ready.
Stand right there. Ted, we are headed to the final Margaritaville. But what do you say we make
And he's
one
like, thank you
pit
for
stop
reading.
first?
Have a good night.
Do you want to go to the Rainforest Cafe and get one drink?
Yeah, I do.
The Las Vegas Rainforest Cafe was just as I had remembered it. It had a Tracy tree,
I
a
just
cheetah,
love the vibe.
elephants, monkeys, and of
I can-
course,
I can just say I love Las Vegas. It's fun. I like the
thunderstorms.
food.
Ted and I got two
like
Cheetah-ritas, and
drinks.
man, they
I
were
also
back.
really like the drinks.
But to my surprise,
And the
I
drinks are
liked
pretty
being
cool.
back. It was comforting in
And
a way.
then the-
Not
the-
like
the
being home,
gambling.
but sort of like when you pass your old high school and it
I
feels
really like Fat
familiar, but
Tuesday.
you never want to
That's a
spend a
drink
full day
place
there
that's,
ever
like,
again.
everywhere.
After our quick pit stop,
pretty
Ted and I
good.
said goodbye to the cafe and we're ready to close this whole thing out.
One more.
One more. We walked just 2 blocks down the strip and finally arrived at the final Margaritaville. This one was one of the busiest and most decorated Margaritavilles of the entire trip. And for the first time, I truly felt it. We ordered 2 perfect margaritas and a key lime pie, a dessert to end our 24-day Margaritaville meal. Turns out I can experience true joy like Jimmy, but only when I'm done
closed my
doing a
favorite
thing that I
buffet.
have to do. Our pies
I
arrived,
really
and as the key
like
lime
the
hit my
Bacchanal
mouth,
buffet.
it tasted
I've been
like
there a few
one
times.
thing: limes.
It's
or,
really
victory.
expensive.
And that
But
was
let me
it.
tell
we had
you,
eaten at
it's
every
pretty
single
good.
Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville in the U.S. and Canada. Finally, I could go home. We were done.
I wanna go to
Again.
TwitchCon
And the
in
only thing left
Vegas.
to
Are they
do
gonna have
was
it
to
there
say
again?
goodbye to the man that had helped me through this whole thing. Goodbye, Jimmy. Goodbye, Jimmy. Goodbye, Jimmy. Goodbye, Jimmy's dog.
No!
Goodbye, Jimmy. I truly cannot
You know what I
believe
wanna
that
do
we
in
did this
Vegas?
a
I wanna
second
go to the
time.
ball.
And after celebrating
Sphere.
our accomplishment that night in Vegas, Ted and I ended our journey looking out on the strip in the exact same spot we had just 1 year before.
In
Our
San
second
Diego?
and final road trip doing something like this
I
was
think I can
now
go there.
over.
The ocean's
And
pretty
these 2
close.
journeys have done so much for me. I've been able to see so many beautiful locations across this country. I've been able to make countless memories with people that I love and care about. As a person, I've been able to grow and learn more about myself. But these trips were about something so much more than all of those things. What it's all about at the end of the day is giving 2 giant corporations a ton of my money. And knowing that I did that means that I wouldn't trade these trips for the world. Not even if my family was in danger and doing so would save them. So now, after just 45 days of our lives, Ted and I are the only 2 people on the planet that can say we've been to every Rainforest Cafe and Margaritaville in the US and Canada. It's actually not that impressive. Oh my god, was this a giant waste of time? 45 days, that doesn't even count when I planned both trips or when we were editing our videos? Oh my god. Oh no. Oh.
I loved that video, chat. That was a very fun video. Oh no. I think we watched Eddie just descend into madness. That is what we watched. Oh my god. That was fun though. We need to, okay, next time we do a chatting or reacting stream, we're gonna watch the Rainforest Cafe. We're gonna watch the Rainforest Cafe video. That was a ride. I don't know about a new one or good one, but it was a ride.